appears to be senseless killings in our country and in our world. And in my meditations, I try to get a handle on things. That's part of what it means being a philosopher. But so often, there is no rational explanation, and there's nothing rational that can make any of it make sense. Are we on now?
Yeah.
Okay. Nothing can help me to put my head around it from a rational standpoint. And you, of course, are left feeling, well, what can I do? And especially when so much damage has already been done, what can I do? And so this morning, what I want us to do, this I know we can do. Ultimately, all of life is energy. And we sometimes underestimate the power that we have within us. And particularly that energy from the heart. That is our strongest and most transforming energy. So this morning in our meditation, I want to lead us into opening our heart center, our chakra, and sending out energy to our community, to El Paso, to Dayton, and ultimately to the world. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in again. Breathe out. And as you're comfortable, close your eyes. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am. Be still and know. Be still. Be. Take your right hand and touch your heart. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Allow your heart to open. Allow your heart to open. Allow your heart to feel the energy in this room. The energy of love is present. And we receive it, and we share it. Breathe in. Breathe out. Now we send this energy out. The energy of transforming love and light. Feel it going out from you. Breathe in. Breathe out. Allow this energy to travel. Breathe in. Breathe out. And if you cannot feel it, imagine it. Going to El Paso. Touching the hearts of grieving loved ones. send it and imagine it in Dayton, touching the hearts of grieving loved ones and communities. Breathe in, breathe out. Now visualize just a small globe. Imagine it the size of a tennis ball. And imagine that you're holding it in your hand and that you're covering it with vibrations and energy of love. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Amen. I am delighted to see all of you. I'm always thrilled when I get a chance to come to Unity and to share with you and to draw energy from you. I think of you all often, and as I'm sure I'm thought of, for which I'm grateful. And I'm thought of in love, and I'm very grateful for that. The title today of my sermon is Simple but Not Easy. Simple but not easy. Once Michelangelo was asked, how is it that he does those magnificent sculptures that he created? And he says, well, what I do is I get a large block of marble, and I look at that marble, and for instance, I see an angel jailed in that marble. And then I chip away everything that's not needed and set the angel free. That's very simple for Michelangelo to say. But as you know, that is not easy. And don't even ask me this, I don't play basketball. When people ask me that, I used to say, I never learned to hold a bat. But one night I was watching Michael Jordan doing one of the Bulls, in their heyday when they were in tournament, what do they call it? Championship, there you go. And he just flew through the air and made that pass. I can do that. You feel like you can just do that because he makes it look so easy. It may be simple, but it's not easy. And so much in life is that way. And I know you've met these people, and especially those who are early in Unity, and they've read a few essays, and they've gotten a few affirmations. Oh, all you have to do is say, and they're absolutely correct. That may be all that you have to do, but being able to do it is not necessarily easy. One such universal principle, and it is found in every culture in some form, is know yourself. Over the gate to the Oracle of Delphi in ancient Greek, know thyself. Socrates, know thyself. That sounds very simple. But have you spent any time trying to know yourself?
There's a few cells in there.
Absolutely. And they just like the yeast, they keep growing. Well, because I'm a philosopher, I spend a lot of time trying to know myself. Well, the first thing that's real for me is that everything, including me, is always changing. Dave always plays Flow River Flow for me because he knows I live on the river, and then the river is a major theme for me. And Heraclitus, the Greek philosopher, said, you can never step into the same river twice. Do you remember that? She is my student. Because the river is ever flowing on. For example, I live on the Water, and which is interesting for a river. This is a strange little river. It actually shifts directions twice a day.
Wow.
And most rivers don't do that.
Wow.
Yeah. But even if it flowed one way, what it was when I left this morning and what it is when I return will be very different. I put up pictures of the river pretty much every day. And people tell me, keep putting up. What is interesting about that is I take the same 4 shots every day.
Wow.
Or sometimes 2 or 3 times a day. And each time is different. It looks like a brand new scene. And it's the same 4 shots. The same position every day. Okay? So, knowing ourselves is kind of like that. First off, our basic knowledge of ourselves usually associated with our bodies. And we learn it early. And who we know ourselves to be is based on BS. Belief systems. It is based on belief systems. Things we have been taught to believe about ourselves. Sometimes good, sometimes not so good. Sometimes good, sometimes not so good. I would always say to freshmen when they begin the year, question everything that you've been taught. Question, question, question. But do not go home and try to have these discussions at the dinner table. But keep questioning, because you're dealing with things that have been packed in the suitcase, some of which you may discover you no longer need. I always like that image of the Western. You know that Western where the family's coming from the East and moving to the West, and they have this, what do you call them? Wagon train. And what's the individual's called? The individual's
Covered wagon.
Covered wagon. Everything is on the covered wagon. All the china, all the crystal, the pipe organ from the parlor is on the big dining room table. And they get to Missouri. And they have to cross the Mississippi. And the river is wide, I can't cross over. The river is wide. And so what does that require? You're going to have to decide what can go across. You're going to have to lighten the load in order to move to the next stage. You're going to have to take something off. And that really is the journey of life. We are constantly having to decide what we keep and what we let go. That is because whatever it is we think we are is constantly changing. Who we generally think we are is like the tip of the iceberg. Yes? But where's the bigger part of the iceberg? Under the ocean. Under the ocean. And so it is with us. You know, of course everybody has seen The Wizard of Oz.
Yes,
Oh, yes. And, yes. And one of my favorite scenes is when they discover who the wizard actually is. And what is the wizard doing? Nobody mess with the great and power. And the dog opens the curtain. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. That is the man and woman you need to pay attention to. The one that's behind the curtain. The one that's hidden in the shadows. The one that we don't like to face. There is where the juice is. That's where it is. Our subconscious mind, what we are not conscious of, drives us in ways far more than our conscious mind. And it's very scary sometimes, because every now and then you discover things about yourself that you didn't know. I had a discovery one day. I was at school, at college, and all of a sudden I was reading something and it hit me. And I got up out of my office and I went to this friend's office and closed the door like a deep, dark military secret. I said, Glenda, I have something to confess. I never knew this about myself. She said, well, what is it? I said, I'm an elitist. She said, you're the only one who didn't know. I was serious. Because I saw myself as a populist, but I love people, and I'm compassionate, and I give. No, there was a little shadow there that I had to face. And that was one of the nice shadows. There are other shadows that we're not going to talk about. And the thing about not dealing with our shadows is like those skeletons in the closet. Just when you think they're no longer there, they start rattling. And especially late at night, when you're quiet, when things are silent. It's like hearing creaks in the house, hearing things popping. That's how it, and that's why many of us don't like to be quiet. That's why many of us fill our days up with noise and activity. Because if I'm quiet, I'm going to have to face the skeletons and shadows in the closet. And that's where I began to truly know myself. Now let me show you how this works collectively. You'll see it right away. Almost everybody in here has some particular position on political affairs of today, yes? And one of the things we like to do is find somebody to blame it on. And no matter how convincing it is that we're blaming it, what we are doing is denying our duplicity in the matter. We are denying our part. So let me blame it on her fascinator. If she had worn that red fascinator to church, things would have been better. But she wore that fascinator and she's the trouble. No. Simple, but not easy. It appears simple to blame one person, one position, one group of people, but it's another thing to see what am I doing? How am I contributing to what is going on? And that has to do with knowing yourself and facing up to whatever is happening in you and with you in regard to situations that concern you. Amen. Another truth. Change your thoughts. Change your life. Simple, but not easy. Simple, but not easy. Because one thing, our thoughts, we are always focusing on what we don't want. Think about it. We don't focus on what we truly want. We are always focusing on what we don't want. When we look out at the world, what do we focus on? And what do we talk about? The things we don't like. The things we don't like. Not the things we like. We focus on the position of the people that we don't agree with, rather than putting forth what it is we hold. Yes? We talk about who's not doing this, and if they would do this, the world would be better. But we don't focus on what we should be doing. And what little things, not always something big. If I had $1 million, no. That's an excuse. That's an excuse. What can I do if I have $25? Start there. Don't worry about $1 million. Sometimes it's not even money at all. Sometimes a person needs a kind word. But we have been made, and it's a culture that we have helped develop, and we are part of, and we are affected by it. We create society, and then society turns around and creates us. It's a loop, but we are part of it. Yes?
Yes.
Amen.
Yeah. We create society, and then society turns around and creates us. And so the very things that we are fighting against become who we are. When you hate the haters, you have become a hater. Do you need that one to sink in? When you hate the haters, you become a hater. Thank you, Einstein. The energy that you use to get where you are, another way of putting it is this: your best thinking has brought you to where you are. Your best thinking has brought you to where you are. So if you want to be somewhere else, what do you got to do? Change your thinking. Change your thinking. And it starts by being aware of your thinking. And the interesting thing are those things that you think that nobody else knows about. Okay? Those things that you think, those things that I think that I definitely don't want to slip out in public. That's why we have the thing called a Freudian slip. Sometimes people say what they actually are thinking, and they didn't mean to. And that's why I love children. They're right out there at the start. From the gate, they tell you exactly where they are and what they're thinking, or they ask questions about what they're thinking. That is the journey of life. We can only change the thoughts that we are aware of. We can only change the thoughts that we are aware of. Stop lying to ourselves about who we are. Sometimes I meditate on this. I might say you maybe a little too much. That sometimes people, I've been in places and with friends, and somebody says, well, who are you? And I have to think for a minute. Tell them who I am. Because I know what they mean. What they mean is, what's your name? What do you do? That's not generally where I'm thinking about who I am. I know the importance of that, and I know how it works in the world, but that's not really where I'm thinking most of the time. I'm going to tell you, and I might have shared this experience before, but this experience as a child has and does influence how I know myself. Apart from this image that you see, apart from this physicality, this is how I truly know myself. When I was a child, I used to like to go out in the woods alone. And I just sit quiet. I didn't know I was meditating. I didn't know that word yet. I would just sit quiet in the woods and listen to the sounds, the birds, the wind, whatever. And then most of the time, I would lie back in the broom straw. And I would look up at the sky. And in that moment, I felt that I was totally connected to everything in the universe. And that everything in the universe was totally connected to me. That experience has colored everything that I've done in my life. From education to job to profession, it has been motivated by that. My search to understand connections. And I know now that we are all truly connected. Down to the molecular level, we are all connected. But we have built up our BS, our belief systems, about gender, about race, about socioeconomics, about education, about where people live, about what's part of town. And so we think we define others and we define ourselves by that. When in fact, we are truly all one. And that is not a popular message in these times, because it's much more fun to stand against each other and to not like people who wear red fascinators. It's much easier to do that and say, she's the problem. If she just wouldn't do that. I just don't like the way. Is that not what we spend our time doing? You get caught sometimes. We all do. It's not what we consciously want to do, but we get caught up in it. It's like a hook in a fish's mouth. Have you ever noticed, like in the morning, if the wrong thought gets there and you don't get it out? All day long, down that path you go. Yes? Yes. Okay. But there, even in that, if you're aware of that deeper self, pay attention to the man behind the curtain. Yes? Then you realize that there's something greater in you and in others, other than those external things that seem to be so important to us. And what is so interesting about that and about the way change operates, really think about it. Most of what we are arguing about usually has already passed. It's already gone. And here we are, Rusty, just mad with each other. And it's so long ago. But through our BS, our belief system, we have defined ourselves around that. And the awful part is we define ourselves so often around the negative parts of our lives, not the good parts. And even people who sometimes hate you and are jealous, they really hate you for the things that are not important. And most of the things that maybe that are really significant to you, I know it has been for me, they don't even know it. They don't even know that. They hate you for superficial things, for externals, for surface stuff. And the real stuff, they're missing. And we miss sometimes the real stuff. Now, our purpose, the fact that we are in this room, our purpose is to be a light to the world. Our purpose is to live from that deeper center as often as we can. No, it's difficult to do it all day, all the time, but I can decide 30 minutes a day. I'm going to live this way. I'm going to live from the center. I remember at work, I became very disturbed about some things that were going on. And you've been in my office, yes? How was it? How was my office?
I remember it as being packed.
What else?
Small, that office.
What else?
Had a great view.
What else? No. I asked you, what else?
What else? You would always be there. When I was when you dropped in.
How? Nora?
I remember you just sitting one-on-one, talking. Peacefully talking.
Speak loud.
I remember you sitting in the office, always speaking, talking, not judging whatever kind of question I was asking about, which was at the time, I think, Atlantis. You know, or something
Did you
else,
feel
but-
peaceful?
Yeah, just peacefully
And so did
discussing
Dave,
our
actually. I put him on the spot by asking him the question. He felt that too. I decided one day, I made it my intention that my office is going to be a zone of peace. And he's saying it's very small. It's very small. And I made it the intention that it was going to be a zone of peace. And many times people walk and say, oh, it feels so good in here. Okay?
approachable.
Yes. So, but my point is, you can make the intention to be. And make the intention to be. Make the intention to be. We are human beings, not human doings. We so often think that we must be doing, and I'm definitely guilty of this. We think that we must be doing something rather than being, and to be is to do. To be is to do. Simple, but not easy. Simple, but not easy. Back to the Wizard of Oz. What does Glinda finally say to Dorothy toward the end?
Had it all along.
You have it all along. What does that song say today about what lies before you? Say it
Everything you need to know
is available to you. Everything you need to know is available to you. And it's within. It's within. Jesus the Christ said, the kingdom, in the last days, people will come to you saying, the kingdom is here, the kingdom is there, but I tell you, the kingdom of God is within you. And then, but how do we access it? It's just being bad. Go to your room. We access it by becoming as a little child. Yes? Yes? Becoming as a little child. What does that mean?
Sitting at the foot of your father, your mother,
Possibly.
divine presence, and asking the questions and changing that yes.
Now, there's the last part. Children don't even know the BS. They don't know the belief systems. So they don't know that they shouldn't do a certain thing. Like that little deaf frog. They don't know that they can't do it. So they end up doing it. Yes? They don't know that they shouldn't ask it. So they ask it. That's how we access the internal, which becomes the eternal, by becoming like a little child, willing to ask the questions, willing to make ourselves available, not feeling that we either know it all or have to. And that sometimes it's not even about the answer, it is about asking the question. The questions themselves open us up. You had the power all along. But it was necessary for you to go on a journey so you could discover what was already in you. Where was the Tin Man, the Scarecrow, and the Cowardly Lion? Read it. Inside the dark. Inside the dark. Where was the bad witch? Inside the dark. Where was the good witch? Where ultimately was the great and powerful Oz? And so it is with us. And, yeah. Well, you would think of the shoes. They match the fascinator, right? Oh, that's right. All that, all, and, but the thing is, those same things are inside of us. The reason I can see bad in you, I cannot see except what I resonate with. I cannot see except what corresponds with me.
You got it.
Say that again.
If you spot it, you got it.
Yes. I like that. If you spot it, you got it. Okay? If you spot it, you got it. Because how often have you gone through and you missed something totally, somebody else spotted it. Piece of money on the ground, somebody spotted it. And same thing with negative stuff. If we spot it, in some sense, we got it. And we need to examine it. And the beautiful part, though, is knowing that everything is energy, is if you change it within yourself, you are helping to change it within the world. And that's the part that we can't necessarily see always, but we have to know. But I can tell you that if you seek to do it, every now and then, you get a little glimpse, and every now and then, you get an affirmation. Somebody will say something to you to let you know that they got it through you. Somebody will say just enough to let you know that I got it by seeing you. It was there all along. It's simple, but not necessarily easy. So just knowing it is enough. Practicing, making it alive,